When a man or woman sets out to achieve something significant, the first and most dangerous obstacle they will encounter is not the competition, not the marketplace, not even the sheer weight of the task ahead. It is their own mind. The mind uncontrolled is the great saboteur, the quiet whisper that says it's too hard, it's not worth it, or you can try again later. Those words, left unchallenged, have buried more dreams than failure itself. I have seen it happen to the ambitious and the talented, the strong and the gifted, people who had all the resources they could ever need, yet collapsed under the invisible weight of discouragement. And here is the truth. The difference between the one who crosses the finish line and the one who turns back halfway is almost never found in strength or intelligence. It is found in the mind's ability to endure, to stay committed long after the initial excitement has faded, and to keep believing when the odds turn grim. That ability is not an accident. It is the result of deliberate mental training, a discipline as real and as demanding as any physical conditioning, and without it, the moment pressure mounts, most will crumble. Most people live as if their mental state is simply the byproduct of what happens to them, as if thoughts are random clouds that blow across the sky without direction or control. But those who accomplish great things understand that the mind is a workshop, not a weather vane. They know that thought, belief, and focus are tools to be sharpened, directed, and applied toward a definite purpose. They don't wait for the right mood to take action. They create the mood through action. They don't hope for confidence. They build it through repetition and proof. And when setbacks come, as they surely do, they do not take them as a signal to retreat. They take them as proof that the process is real, that they are in the arena, that they are playing for stakes worth fighting for. If you train your mind to think like this, you will find that what defeats others will become the very thing that strengthens you. It is here we must introduce a law that governs this entire subject, a law you can either obey consciously or be punished by unconsciously. What you dwell upon consistently will either make you or break you. Say it aloud now and write it down. What I dwell upon consistently will either make me or break me. It is not what happens to you that decides your future. It is what you allow to occupy the theater of your mind day after day, hour after hour. Hold in your thoughts the image of defeat, and you will move like a defeated man. Hold in your thoughts the certainty of victory, and you will begin to act, speak, and decide like a victor long before the first tangible proof arrives. That is not wishful thinking, it is the simple mechanics of the mind. We act in harmony with our most dominant beliefs. Train those beliefs and you train your destiny. Ignore them and you forfeit control to the shifting moods and fears of the moment. The reason most people quit is because they misunderstand the nature of progress. They believe progress is a straight upward climb, when in truth it is a winding path with rises and falls, advances and retreats. They think success feels good all the way through, when in reality, the moments that matter most often feel like the hardest. This is when the untrained mind interprets discomfort as danger, uncertainty as failure, and temporary defeat as permanent loss. The trained mind, on the other hand, recognizes these moments as the proving ground. It says, "This is the part where most turn back, therefore this is the part I must push through." And by doing so, it steps into the rare air, where few competitors remain, where persistence itself becomes a decisive advantage. You must understand that quitting is almost never an event. It is a slow erosion of will. It starts with small compromises, skipping a task just this once, allowing a negative thought to sit unchallenged, choosing comfort over the next step forward. Over time, these small concessions build into a habit of retreat. The tragedy is that most people don't realize they have quit until long after the decision was made. That is why mental training is not optional. It is your first and constant duty. It is the daily sharpening of the blade before you enter the battle. It is the conscious, repeated choice to hold your mind on the goal and to protect it from the slow poisons of doubt, distraction, and discouragement. One of the most powerful ways to train your mind is through deliberate affirmation, not as empty words, but as a daily act of identity building. Every day, say aloud the truths you choose to live by until they become the automatic language of your thoughts. An affirmation is not meant to create magic. It is meant to direct the mind, to keep it anchored to a chosen reality. If you will, take a moment now and write this down. Speak it aloud and make it yours. I am built for endurance. My mind holds the image of victory. I do not quit. When you repeat this daily, you are programming your subconscious to act in alignment with it. You are replacing the language of fear with the language of certainty. You are making quitting feel unnatural and persistence feel like the only option. But training your mind is not only about positive thinking, it is about disciplined thinking. Discipline is the ability to hold one thought in place until it produces a result, to resist the temptation to scatter your focus across a dozen minor pursuits. Every time you stay locked onto a single meaningful objective, you are building the mental muscles that will hold you steady when others waver. Every time you reject the urge to chase the next distraction, you are proving to yourself that you can be trusted with your own destiny, and that trust is the foundation of self-confidence, the quiet conviction that no matter what storms come, you will not lose your way. Think of your mind as a captain at sea. The waves will rise, the wind will change, the sky will darken without warning. The untrained captain panics, changes course with every gust, or drifts aimlessly hoping for rescue. The trained captain knows storms are inevitable, and so he stays at the helm, eyes fixed on the compass, adjusting the sails but never the destination. In your own life, the compass is your definite goal, and your mental training is the discipline to hold that course when conditions turn against you. Lose sight of the compass, and you are lost. Keep it before you, and no amount of wind or rain can force you to surrender your voyage. I will leave you in this first part with a principle that can anchor you for life if you will take it seriously. You cannot control the length of the journey, nor the weather along the way, but you can always control the direction of your mind. The man or woman who does this consistently will arrive where they have chosen, while others drift to places they never intended to be. Write this down and make it part of you. My mind obeys my commands. It holds to the goal until it is done. If you live by this, you will find that the moment when others quit will become your greatest advantage, the point at which your endurance is no longer matched, and the victory becomes yours by default. This is not mere theory, it is the natural law of perseverance, and it will serve you faithfully for the rest of your life. The next truth you must accept, if you are to train your mind to succeed when others quit, is that most people are ruled not by reason, not by vision, but by feelings. And feelings left unchecked are the most unstable guide you can have in life. They rise and fall with the weather, with the words of others, with the mood of the morning. They are as changeable as the wind, and if you let them steer your course, you will wander endlessly, chasing bursts of motivation and fleeing every shadow of discomfort. The man or woman who masters their mind learns to act independently of mood. They act because the action is right, because it serves the goal, because it aligns with their chosen identity, not because they feel like it. This is why the undisciplined fail. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait for perfect conditions that never come. And all the while, the disciplined press forward through fear, through uncertainty, through fatigue until they emerge where only the committed can stand. Understand this. Discipline is not about the denial of comfort for its own sake. It is about the alignment of action with purpose, regardless of how you feel in the moment. When you choose to act in spite of resistance, you are teaching your mind a powerful lesson that feelings are not commands and that you are in control. This lesson compounds over time, becoming a quiet, unshakable confidence that will hold you steady when others lose their way. Every time you rise before the sun to work on your craft, every time you stay at your post when distractions call, every time you hold the line when it would be easier to retreat, you are engraving this truth deeper into your character. I am in command of my mind. Write it, say it, live it, and watch how quickly the world begins to respond to the authority you carry. This is why those who endure inevitably surpass those who start strong but fade. Endurance is the rarest of qualities because it demands that you keep walking long after the crowd has disappeared. Most people will applaud you in the beginning, when your goal is fresh and exciting, and they will celebrate you at the end when you have achieved it. But in the long middle, when nothing seems to move, when the rewards are invisible and the labor endless, you will be alone. It is here that mental training proves its worth, because the untrained mind will whisper, "It's not working, you're wasting your time, nobody cares." And without discipline, those whispers grow into shouts until they drown out your purpose entirely. The trained mind answers differently. This silence is not failure, it is the sound of growth. It recognizes that the middle is not a void, but a forge, and it is willing to stay in the heat until the work is done. You must also become a master of focus. The mind, like light, becomes most powerful when concentrated. A scattered beam illuminates, but a focused beam cuts through steel. The reason so many never reach their destination is because they keep changing it. They commit for a week, then detour to something else. They water a dozen fields and wonder why nothing grows. The disciplined, mentally trained individual plants in one field and tends it daily, season after season, until it bears fruit. This requires the ability to ignore the constant parade of new opportunities, distractions, and trends that promise faster results. It requires the humility to understand that mastery is not built in days or weeks, but in years of deliberate, focused effort. It is this kind of focus that will keep you steady when others are jumping from one thing to the next, exhausting themselves and arriving nowhere. The world we live in will try to erode your focus at every turn. notifications, demands, urgent but unimportant tasks. They will all conspire to pull your mind away from your deepest work. If you are to succeed where others quit, you must become ruthless in defending your mental space. Treat your attention as the most valuable currency you possess, because it is. Every time you spend it on something that does not serve your purpose, you weaken the force of your own intention. Every time you guard it fiercely, you strengthen it. This is why I urge you now, write these words down and keep them visible. My attention builds my future. Where I place it determines where I arrive. This is not poetry, it is law. Obey it, and your mind will become a fortress against the pull of distraction. And here is something few will tell you. The greatest test of mental training is not in the moments of high pressure, but in the quiet, uneventful hours when nothing forces you to act. It is easy to rise to the occasion when the stakes are high, when others are watching, when adrenaline sharpens your senses. But the true shaping of the mind happens in the unseen hours, when you choose to study instead of scroll, to plan instead of drift, to practice instead of waste the day. These hours are where the character of a finisher is built. Most people abandon their path not in a dramatic moment of collapse, but in a slow, invisible drift that starts with neglecting these hours. The trained mind recognizes their value and fills them with deliberate, meaningful action. You will also need the courage to believe before there is proof. Many will call this blind faith, but in truth it is the most rational position you can take. Every great achievement begins as a thought before it becomes visible. If you demand to see the entire path before taking the first step, you will remain where you are for life. The mentally disciplined individual understands that the first steps are taken in uncertainty, and that certainty comes later as a result of movement. They act on vision, not on the need for guarantees. And so I invite you now, not as a suggestion but as a command to yourself, write this down and speak it aloud. I walk by vision, not by doubt. My eyes are on the goal, and my steps are guided by it alone. Once you live by these principles, something remarkable will happen. You will begin to notice that the same situations that stop others, setbacks, criticism, boredom, fatigue, will no longer stop you. They may slow you, they may challenge you, but they will not cause you to abandon your post. And the longer you hold the line, the fewer competitors remain. Eventually, you will find yourself in territory so few have reached that the very fact of your presence there becomes an advantage. This is the reward of mental training. Not only do you survive the storms that sink others, you use them to propel yourself forward. Let this be your anchor for the days ahead. I am not a slave to mood. I live by decision, not by impulse. The trained mind does not ask whether it feels like acting, it acts, and the feelings follow. Those who master this truth will be unstoppable because they will have severed the chain that binds most of humanity to the unpredictable swing of emotion. This is the dividing line between the many who start and the few who finish. If you choose to stand on the side of the finishers, it will not be by chance. It will be because you have trained your mind to obey you even when every part of you wants to stop. And in that moment you will have become the rarest of all, the one who keeps going when others quit. You wish to train your mind to succeed when others quit. You must come to grips with the reality that the greatest battles you will ever fight will take place in silence, with no audience, no applause, and no external reward. It is in these silent battles that winners are made. Most people are conditioned to respond only when there is recognition, feedback, or some visible measure of progress. When these are absent, their motivation withers. They think the lack of attention means the work doesn't matter, that the absence of immediate results means they're on the wrong track. But those who understand the nature of achievement know this. The quiet seasons, the invisible labor, the long stretches where nothing seems to move, these are the very places where your capacity is built. If you can train your mind to stay faithful to the work when there is no external validation, you will already have separated yourself from the majority who require constant proof in order to keep going. One of the most dangerous traps for the untrained mind is the habit of comparison. In an age where every success is displayed instantly for the world to see, it is tempting to measure your progress against the highlight reel of others. This leads to two destructive outcomes. Either you feel behind and become discouraged, or you feel ahead and grow complacent. Both are fatal to long-term success. The trained mind refuses to engage in this mental poison. It measures progress only against its own standards and its own vision. It understands that each person's path is unique, shaped by a different set of challenges, resources, and timing. The fact that someone else seems further along is irrelevant to your mission. The only questions worth asking are, am I moving forward? Am I honoring my commitments? Am I holding my mind to the standard I set? If you can answer yes to these, then you are on course, regardless of what the world appears to be doing. Another mark of the trained mind is the ability to turn obstacles into fuel. For most people, an obstacle is a signal to stop, to wait until conditions improve, to seek an easier route. But the disciplined individual sees the obstacle as part of the training, an opportunity to sharpen creativity, resourcefulness, and resolve. When a door closes, they don't waste time cursing it. They look for another entrance or build one themselves. This is not a matter of blind optimism. It is the recognition that obstacles are inevitable, and therefore the only sensible response is to use them. This mindset must be practiced until it becomes reflex. And so I urge you to write and speak this law into your mind. Obstacles are my training ground. They make me stronger. When you live by this, frustration gives way to curiosity, and setbacks become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. You must also master the discipline of self-talk, for the words you speak to yourself in moments of trial will determine your actions. The untrained mind allows its inner voice to speak unchecked, repeating the doubts and fears it has absorbed from the world. This inner voice becomes a relentless critic, tearing down confidence and replacing it with hesitation. The trained mind, however, deliberately chooses its words. It speaks to itself as a commander speaks to a soldier, with clarity, certainty, and purpose. It says, "Stand your ground, advance. This is the moment you've been prepared for." It uses affirmations not as empty encouragement, but as commands issued to the subconscious. Over time, the inner voice becomes an ally instead of an enemy, reinforcing strength rather than undermining it. One overlooked aspect of mental training is the management of energy. Success is not only about how much time you have, it is about how you use the energy within that time. Many quit not because they run out of hours, but because they run out of energy. The trained mind treats energy as a precious resource, directing it toward high-value actions and protecting it from unnecessary drains. This means setting boundaries, saying no to distractions, and ensuring that your body supports the demands of your mind through rest, nutrition, and exercise. You cannot think clearly, focus deeply, or endure pressure if your energy is constantly depleted. By guarding your energy, you make it possible to sustain high performance over the long haul, and this is something most people never master. There is also the matter of identity. You will not endure as a mere participant in your goal. You must see yourself as the embodiment of it. The untrained mind says, "I am trying to succeed." The trained mind says, "I am a success in progress." This difference is not semantic, it is foundational. When you identify as the person who finishes what they start, every decision is filtered through that identity. Skipping a task feels unnatural. Quitting becomes impossible. You do not have to force yourself to act. You simply act in accordance with who you are. This is why I tell you now, write these words and repeat them until they are written into your very being. I am the kind of person who finishes. I complete what I begin. Let that identity become so strong that abandoning your mission would feel like betraying yourself. The trained mind also understands the principle of controlled exposure. Just as muscles grow stronger when they are gradually exposed to greater resistance, the mind grows tougher when it is steadily challenged. If you avoid all difficulty, you remain fragile, easily broken when inevitable hardship comes. But if you willingly expose yourself to controlled difficulty, tasks that stretch you without overwhelming you, you expand your capacity. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes routine. This is why you must not seek to make the path easy. You must seek to make yourself stronger. Each small victory over discomfort prepares you for larger victories ahead. Finally, know this. Success that is not rooted in mental strength will crumble under pressure. You may achieve quick wins through luck, timing, or a burst of energy, but without the ability to endure, those wins will fade. The trained mind is not concerned with speed, it is concerned with staying power. It knows that the true measure of a person is not how high they can climb when the climb is easy, but how firmly they can hold when the ground shakes. And so I leave you with this principle for today. My strength is in my steadiness. I hold my course until the goal is mine. When this belief becomes second nature, you will find that quitting is no longer part of your vocabulary, and success in time will have no choice but to be. If you are serious about training your mind to succeed when others quit, you must learn the art of detachment, not from your goal, but from the emotional turbulence that surrounds the pursuit of it. Most people are prisoners of the emotional highs and lows that come with progress. When things go well, they soar with excitement. When things go poorly, they sink into discouragement. This constant fluctuation weakens their resolve because their commitment is tied to conditions they cannot control. The trained mind understands that the goal is the constant and emotions are the weather. You cannot let the weather decide whether you move forward. You must move forward regardless. Detachment is the discipline of acting without being ruled by the emotional noise of the moment. It does not mean apathy. It means anchoring yourself so deeply in the vision that no storm can shake it loose. One of the clearest advantages of detachment is clarity. When you are not blinded by excessive excitement or weighed down by sudden disappointment, you can see situations for what they are. You can assess challenges objectively, make better decisions, and avoid the desperate reactive moves that destroy momentum. The untrained mind overreacts to both good and bad news, wasting energy in celebration or panic. The trained mind takes both in stride, adjusting where necessary but never losing sight of the destination. This steadiness unnerves competitors because they cannot read you, cannot predict your moves, and cannot manipulate you through emotion. To cultivate this quality, remind yourself daily, I am unmoved by temporary conditions. My course is set. Say it aloud. Write it down. Let it become your shield against the waves of circumstance. With detachment comes another vital skill, the ability to delay gratification. This is a cornerstone of mental training. Most quit because they demand payment before the work is done. They want the applause before the performance, the harvest before the planting, the reward before the sacrifice. But the laws of life do not work that way. You are paid after you have delivered value, after you have proven your worth, after you have endured the trials that shape you into the person capable of holding what you seek. The trained mind accepts this as natural law and takes satisfaction in the process itself. It understands that the longer the delay, the greater the maturity required, and the greater the reward that follows. Those who cannot endure the wait will always live at the level of their impatience. Those who can will stand among the rare few who possess what others could not hold long enough to earn. This is why persistence is less about stubbornness and more about intelligent adaptation. The untrained mind equates persistence with doing the same thing over and over, even when it doesn't work. The trained mind knows that persistence means holding to the goal but adjusting the method. When a plan fails, it does not mean the vision was wrong. It means the approach needs refinement. This distinction allows you to keep moving forward while others stop completely. They see failure as a wall. You see it as a detour. They take it personally. You take it strategically. This is why I tell you now, write and speak this law until it becomes second nature. I adapt. I adjust, but I do not quit. Let it be the rhythm of your work, the heartbeat of your pursuit. Your mental training will also be tested in your ability to handle boredom. Yes, boredom. The pursuit of any worthy goal will require long stretches of repetitive work, where progress is incremental and excitement is scarce. Most people cannot endure this phase. They are addicted to novelty, constantly seeking something new to rekindle their interest. But mastery demands that you embrace repetition. The athlete runs the same drills, the musician plays the same scales, the craftsman shapes the same strokes. The trained mind finds satisfaction in this discipline, knowing that each repetition lays another stone in the foundation of skill. If you can learn to love the work when it is not thrilling, you will possess a weapon most will never have, the ability to keep going when all visible excitement is gone. Here is another truth few acknowledge. Your relationship with failure must change. For the untrained mind, failure is an identity. It is a label that sticks, proof that they are not capable. For the trained mind, failure is a teacher, a signal, a stepping stone. It is not personal, it is informational. Each failure delivers data you could not have gathered any other way. It shows you what doesn't work, sharpens your awareness of what might, and deepens your resilience. If you recoil from failure, you rob yourself of these lessons and guarantee that your growth will be slow, if it happens at all. But if you meet failure as a willing student, you accelerate your learning and shorten the path to mastery. This is why your affirmation for today is, failure is my instructor. I learn, I adjust, I advance. Say it until fear loses its grip and curiosity takes its place. Another key to mental endurance is the ability to reframe setbacks as preparation for the next breakthrough. The untrained mind treats setbacks as interruptions to progress. The trained mind sees them as integral to the journey, the very shaping process that ensures lasting success. Without the lessons and strength gained from setbacks, any victory you achieve will be fragile, easily overturned by the first serious challenge. This is why many who rise quickly also fall quickly. They did not build the depth to sustain what they reached. If you will train yourself to see every difficulty as an investment in your future capacity, you will welcome them, knowing they are making you more unshakable with every test. Finally, understand this: the mental discipline you are building is not only for this one goal. It will serve you in every arena of life. The ability to endure without quitting, to adapt without losing vision, to act without being ruled by emotion. These are the qualities that will make you exceptional in business, in relationships, in personal growth. Most will drift through life at the mercy of their moods, their environment, and their circumstances. You will be different. You will be anchored, disciplined, unyielding in the pursuit of what you have chosen. And so I leave you with this for today. My will is stronger than any obstacle. I hold fast until the work is done. Live by this and you will not only reach the finish line, you will redefine it. The next stage in training your mind to succeed when others quit is mastering the principle of preparation. Most people quit not because they truly lack the ability to finish, but because they are caught off guard by challenges they could have anticipated. They step into the arena unarmed, hoping to figure things out as they go, and when the first difficulty strikes, they are unprepared to respond. The trained mind, however, anticipates difficulty and prepares for it long before it arrives. It studies the path ahead, identifies likely obstacles, and equips itself with strategies to meet them. This preparation is not a sign of doubt. It is a sign of respect for the goal. Just as a builder would not begin without a blueprint, you should not enter your mission without a mental blueprint for the challenges to come. This alone will put you ahead of most, because when trouble appears, you will meet it like a seasoned commander, not a startled recruit. Preparation also strengthens confidence because it replaces vague hope with concrete readiness. The untrained mind says, "I'll cross that bridge when I get there," but in truth, this is an excuse to avoid thinking ahead. The trained mind says, "I'll prepare for that bridge now so I can cross it without hesitation." This proactive approach eliminates much of the uncertainty that causes people to stall or turn back. By preparing, you transform potential threats into planned scenarios. You reduce the element of surprise, and with it the emotional shock that causes so many to quit. Preparation builds a mental environment where confidence can thrive because you know that whatever comes, you have already thought it through and decided how you will respond. Write this down. I face nothing unprepared. My readiness is my strength. Make it your daily reminder that mental endurance begins long before the test arrives. Another powerful discipline is the cultivation of mental simplicity. Complexity is the enemy of endurance. The more cluttered your thinking, the more easily you will be distracted, overwhelmed, or discouraged. The untrained mind tries to hold too many priorities at once, scattering its energy and weakening its focus. The trained mind strips away the unnecessary, concentrating on the few actions that move it closer to the goal. It asks what is essential, what produces results, and removes the rest. This mental clarity makes it easier to continue when others are lost in the fog of competing demands. The less you carry in your mind, the more power you can direct toward the finish line. This is why many quit. They are not defeated by the difficulty of their goal, but by the unnecessary burdens they drag alongside it. Simplify your thinking and you will have energy to spare when the road grows steep. A further mark of mental training is the ability to create momentum and then protect it. Momentum is a quiet but powerful force. Once it builds, it carries you forward with less effort. But it is also fragile, easily broken by neglect, distraction, or doubt. The untrained mind allows momentum to be disrupted by every small interruption. The trained mind guards it fiercely, recognizing that even small breaks in rhythm can slow progress drastically. This is why daily consistency is so critical. It keeps the engine running even at a slow speed, so you never have to start from zero again. Think of a ship at sea. It is easier to change course or increase speed when the vessel is already moving. In the same way, your progress will always be easier to adjust than to restart. Write this into your discipline. I protect my momentum. I move every day. You must also train yourself to be comfortable with being underestimated. This is a secret advantage of the mentally strong. When others doubt you, they reveal their own limits, not yours. The untrained mind wastes energy trying to convince doubters to defend itself against criticism to prove its worth prematurely. The trained mind lets results speak when the time comes and saves its energy for the work itself. It understands that being underestimated can remove pressure, allowing you to operate in peace while others overlook your progress. When you eventually emerge with the victory, the surprise is all the greater. But more importantly, you will have learned the self-control to work without external validation. This is a hallmark of endurance, to continue without the fuel of recognition. Let this truth settle in you. I do not need permission to win. My work is my proof. There is a deep connection between mental endurance and self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce your belief that you can be trusted. Every time you break that promise, you weaken that belief. The untrained mind underestimates this connection, thinking small compromises are harmless. But over time, these small breaches in integrity corrode confidence and make quitting easier. The trained mind protects its self-respect as if it were gold, because it knows that self-respect is the foundation of persistence. When you view your commitments as sacred, you will not abandon them lightly. You will endure discomfort, inconvenience, and even temporary loss rather than break faith with yourself. This is why your affirmation here is, I keep my word to myself. My integrity is my power. Speak it daily until it becomes your standard of living. You will also need the humility to remain a student, even as you advance. Many people quit when they reach a level of skill or success that makes them feel they have arrived. This false summit blinds them to the need for continued growth. The trained mind understands that the moment you stop learning, you begin to decline. By remaining teachable, you keep your mind flexible and open to better methods. This humility keeps you from becoming rigid, and it ensures that you can adapt to new challenges without clinging to outdated habits. The paradox is that the stronger your mind becomes, the more you must guard against pride. Pride tells you that you no longer need the basics. Discipline reminds you that mastery is built on them. Keep learning, and you will keep moving forward while others stall in self-satisfaction. Finally, recognize that mental training is not a phase, it is a lifestyle. You are not building temporary habits for a single goal. You are shaping the way you approach life itself. The skills of preparation, simplicity, momentum, self-respect, and teachability will serve you far beyond any one achievement. They will make you resilient in the face of change, steady under pressure, and immune to the quitting patterns that rule most people. And so I will leave you with this anchor for the days ahead. My mind is trained for the long haul. I live ready. I move daily. I endure always. Say it aloud, write it where you will see it, and carry it into every task. For once this becomes your way of life, success will cease to be a matter of chance. It will become a matter of inevitability. If you are to train your mind to succeed when others quit, you must begin to think of pressure not as an enemy to be feared, but as a forge in which your resilience is shaped. Most people, when faced with pressure, instinctively look for a way to escape it. They step back, they slow down, they convince themselves that it is wise to wait until the pressure passes. But this is a misunderstanding of its purpose. Pressure exists to test your readiness for the goal you have chosen. It is the universe's way of asking, are you prepared to hold this position? Are you worthy of the rewards you seek? Those who endure pressure, who lean into it rather than away, emerge sharper, stronger, and infinitely more capable. The ones who run from it return to the starting line, no closer to their destination than before. If you train your mind to interpret pressure as proof that you are in the right place at the very edge of growth, then you will stop fearing it and start using it. This shift in perspective is not automatic. It must be built. You build it by refusing to let challenges dictate your emotional state. The untrained mind reacts. The trained mind responds. Reaction is immediate, uncontrolled, driven by fear or frustration. Response is deliberate, measured, rooted in principle. Imagine a commander in battle who panics at the first sign of trouble. His troops scatter, the formation collapses, and the mission fails. Now imagine one who stands calm, even when the situation worsens. His calm is contagious. It steadies those around him. The same is true for you. When others around you break under the weight of challenge, your steadiness will set you apart. And steadiness, once recognized, is trusted. Opportunities, partnerships, and leadership roles naturally flow toward those who can hold the line when it matters most. This is why you must also develop the habit of deciding in advance how you will think, speak, and act under difficulty. Most people try to figure it out in the moment, and the moment overwhelms them. Decide now, while you are calm, what you will do when the first wave of doubt hits, when the numbers aren't in your favor, when the people around you begin to leave. Write it down, commit it to memory, practice it until it becomes automatic. The military drills for battle long before they enter it. So must you drill for the moments that will define your journey. A useful affirmation for this is, when pressure rises, I rise higher. Say it, write it, own it. The goal is to make your response to pressure so ingrained that hesitation never has a chance to take root. Another crucial discipline is the control of your mental diet. You cannot hope to maintain a strong, focused mind if you constantly feed it weak, fearful, and aimless input. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every image you consume is a seed planted in the soil of your mind. The untrained mind lets weeds grow freely, thinking they have no impact. The trained mind is selective, planting only what serves its long-term purpose. It knows that what you dwell on daily will shape how you respond in the moments that count. If you are surrounded by those who complain, who speak of limitations, who retreat at the first sign of trouble, their mindset will seep into yours like water through stone. Guard your environment fiercely. Fill your mind with ideas, voices, and examples that strengthen your resolve, not weaken it. You will also need to adopt a longer horizon for your goals than most are willing to accept. Many quit simply because they misjudge the timeline of achievement. They expect instant results from actions that require months or years to bear fruit. This is why they grow restless, declare that it's not working, and abandon the path entirely. The trained mind understands that meaningful goals require compound effort over time, just as a tree requires years to grow before it can bear fruit. The work you put in today may not show visible results for weeks, months, or even longer, but that does not mean it is wasted. It is building the unseen roots that will support the visible success later. When you accept this, you stop measuring progress by the hour or day, and you start measuring it by the depth of your consistency. Patience then becomes your silent advantage. It is not the passive patience of waiting for something to happen, it is the active patience of working daily without demanding constant proof. You persist because the work itself is proof. The hours invested, the skills sharpened, the discipline forged, these are progress even when the outward signs lag behind. And here's where most people falter. They cannot bear to keep working without immediate reward. They have trained themselves for quick results and constant stimulation, and when reality does not provide it, they quit. Your job is to train your mind to find satisfaction in the act of moving forward, knowing that the results will come in their appointed time. This is a discipline of maturity, and those who master it rarely fail to reach their destination. Consider this: quitting is not always an act of finality. It often disguises itself as a temporary pause, a break to rest or think things over. But for the untrained mind, that pause becomes a slow death of the original intention. Days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and the fire that once burned bright becomes a cold memory. The trained mind is aware of this danger and refuses to step off the path once it has begun. It rests while still in motion, adjusting pace without losing direction. This is why you must ingrain in yourself the law of continued movement. I do not stop. I may slow, but I keep moving. Write it down, say it aloud, and let it be your safeguard against the creeping temptation to drift. It is worth noting, too, that mental strength is not loud or dramatic. It is often quiet, almost invisible to those who don't know what to look for. The strongest individuals are not the ones shouting about their struggles or broadcasting their endurance. They are the ones who simply keep showing up day after day, long after the crowd has gone home. They have no need to prove themselves to anyone else because they have already proven themselves to themselves. That is the true victory, and once you have it, nothing external can take it from you. So in this stage of your training, let this affirmation become part of your daily ritual. My mind is a fortress. Pressure does not break me, it builds me. Repeat it until it becomes not just words, but a living reality in your actions. For when this belief takes root, quitting will no longer be an option you even entertain. You will have crossed the invisible line that separates those who might succeed from those who will succeed, and you will stand firmly on the side of the ladder, calm, steady, unshakable, moving forward while others turn back. If you are to complete your training to succeed when others quit, you must embrace the discipline of self-command. Self-command is the ability to direct your thoughts, words, and actions with precision, even under the most difficult circumstances. It is the rarest form of leadership, the leadership of the self. Most people spend their lives reacting to events, letting circumstances dictate their state of mind. When things go well, they feel empowered. When things go poorly, they feel defeated. But the trained mind knows that the true seat of control is internal. Self-command means you choose your responses deliberately, aligning them with your long-term vision rather than your momentary emotions. This is the strength that allows you to keep moving forward in conditions that cause others to abandon the mission. Without self-command, persistence is impossible. With it, persistence becomes a natural state of being. A critical part of self-command is mastering your inner dialogue. The mind is constantly speaking to itself, and this conversation determines your trajectory more than any external force. The untrained mind allows this inner voice to run wild, repeating the doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs it has absorbed from the outside world. The trained mind takes control of this conversation, replacing uncertainty with direction, replacing fear with certainty, replacing self-criticism with constructive guidance. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing the reality you will reinforce through your words. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you are leading into battle, with clarity, conviction, and focus. Make this your command phrase and repeat it until it becomes reflex. I lead myself with strength and clarity. Self-command also requires the courage to hold your standard when it would be easier to compromise. Most people quit because they lower their standard to match their comfort. They say, "This is good enough," or "I'll pick it up again later." But every compromise chips away at self-respect and weakens resolve. The trained mind refuses to move the goalposts, simply to feel better in the short term. It keeps the standard high and adjusts effort to meet it, not the other way around. This does not mean rigidity. It means refusing to dilute your vision just to avoid discomfort. It means understanding that your standard is the guardrail that keeps you on the road to your chosen destination. Without it, the drift toward mediocrity is inevitable. Another component of self-command is emotional composure. The ability to remain steady in moments of frustration, disappointment, or provocation is a defining trait of those who endure. The untrained mind vents its frustration impulsively, wasting energy and damaging focus. The trained mind feels the emotion fully but channels it toward constructive action. It does not deny the reality of anger, fear, or doubt. It simply refuses to let them dictate the next step. This composure is a form of strength that others will notice and respect, even if they cannot articulate why. And it will allow you to make decisions with a clear head when others are blinded by emotion. Make this a personal law. I am the calm in the storm. I act with purpose, never reaction. Self-command also extends to the way you handle opportunity. Many quit not because they lack options, but because they are overwhelmed by them. They chase too many at once, diluting their focus until nothing is done well. The trained mind has the discipline to say no to good opportunities in order to protect the great one. It understands that every yes is also a no to something else, and so it chooses with precision. This is why the ability to filter and prioritize is as much a survival skill as endurance itself. Guard your commitments, and you will guard your energy, your focus, and your results. There is also the matter of rhythm. Those who last know how to pace themselves for the long journey. The untrained mind either goes too slow out of fear or too fast out of impatience, burning out before the goal is reached. The trained mind maintains a rhythm that is sustainable yet progressive. It works daily, rests strategically, and understands that steady forward motion will always outperform sporadic bursts followed by long stalls. This rhythm is not rigid. It adapts to the terrain, but it never stops altogether. If you can master rhythm, you will keep your momentum while others are starting and stopping endlessly. Another test of self-command is the ability to work without the need for constant novelty. The untrained mind constantly seeks new stimulation, abandoning tasks the moment they lose excitement. The trained mind understands that mastery is built in the repetitive, unglamorous work others avoid. It keeps showing up, doing the fundamentals long after the thrill has faded. It sees the process not as a hurdle to be endured, but as the very forge of greatness. If you learn to appreciate the repetition, you will make yourself immune to the boredom that breaks most people's resolve. Self-command is also about making decisions in alignment with your highest self, not your weakest impulses. Every decision is a vote for the person you are becoming. The untrained mind votes for convenience, ease, and temporary comfort. The trained mind votes for growth, discipline, and the long-term vision. This is why your daily actions must be chosen with the awareness that they are shaping your identity. Say this aloud now and write it where you can see it. I choose as my future self would choose. Let this guide your choices until it becomes instinct. Finally, understand that self-command is not a talent you are born with. It is a muscle you build. Every time you resist an unhelpful impulse, you strengthen it. Every time you act in alignment with your goal rather than your mood, you strengthen it. Over time, this muscle becomes so strong that quitting becomes unnatural. You will not need to force yourself to keep going. You will simply be incapable of doing otherwise. And when you reach that point, you will have achieved what few ever do, mastery over yourself. That mastery will not only carry you across the finish line, it will make you the kind of person who finishes every race you choose to run. And so I leave you with this anchor for your self-command. My will leads, my mind follows, my body obeys. Speak it daily and live it without exception. The final discipline in training your mind to succeed when others quit is the commitment to live by principle rather than by circumstance. Circumstance is fickle. It will lift you one day and press you down the next. If your commitment rises and falls with it, you will never reach the heights you are capable of. Principle, on the other hand, is constant. It does not change with the weather, with the opinions of others, or with the temporary results of your efforts. To live by principle is to anchor yourself to truths that remain steady no matter how violently the winds of life may blow. This is what allows the trained mind to keep moving forward when everyone else has stopped, because while they are waiting for conditions to improve, you are acting in alignment with unchanging laws. One such principle is that reward is always proportionate to contribution. If you give more, learn more, serve more, you will in time receive more. This is not wishful thinking, it is the way life works. The untrained mind tries to sidestep this, looking for ways to get the most while giving the least. They may get ahead temporarily, but without the habit of consistent contribution, they cannot hold what they have gained. The trained mind knows that lasting success is built on value delivered over time. It holds to this principle even when there is no immediate return, because it trusts the law that return always comes to those who persist. Say this to yourself now. I increase my value daily. My reward will match my contribution. Another principle is that growth only comes through stretching beyond your current capacity. The untrained mind seeks to stay within the comfort zone, where the effort is easy and the outcome predictable. But comfort is the breeding ground of mediocrity, and nothing extraordinary grows there. The trained mind chooses the discomfort of stretching because it knows that only in the stretch is there transformation. This is why it welcomes challenges others avoid. They are the raw material from which new strength is forged. Over time, this habit of embracing challenge makes you unrecognizable to your former self. Write it down and keep it close. I grow by stretching. I welcome the work that shapes me. You must also hold to the principle that your mind is always listening to you. Every word you speak, every thought you entertain is instruction to the subconscious. The untrained mind speaks carelessly, reinforcing doubt and limitation without realizing it. The trained mind chooses its language with precision because it understands that repeated words become beliefs and beliefs become reality. This is why affirmations are not superstition. They are deliberate programming of the mental machinery that drives all behavior. The mind, given consistent instruction, will find ways to make it true. And so I leave you with this final command for your mental training. I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubts. Speak it until you no longer feel you are saying it to yourself, because you will have become it. The trained mind also lives by the principle of responsibility. It takes ownership of every result, every misstep, every opportunity missed or gained. The untrained mind looks outward for excuses, pointing to other people, the economy, or bad luck as the reason for its lack of progress. But responsibility is power. When you accept full ownership, you claim the ability to change anything in your life. Without responsibility, you are at the mercy of forces you cannot control. With it, you become the master of your own direction. This is why the trained mind does not waste time blaming. It uses that time to adjust, to learn, to move forward. This single principle alone will place you far ahead of those who are still waiting for someone else to change their circumstances. Another vital principle is that time is your most valuable currency, and how you spend it determines who you become. The untrained mind treats time casually, wasting it on distractions and meaningless activity as if it were limitless. The trained mind treats time as a finite resource, investing it where it compounds into learning, building, creating, and strengthening relationships that align with the goal. It understands that every lost hour is an opportunity gone forever. It lives with the awareness that what you do daily shapes what you have permanently. If you master this principle, your habits will align naturally with your vision, and quitting will become less and less possible because your time will always be spent in service of the goal. You must also live by the principle that identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as someone who finishes, who endures, who achieves, your actions will naturally follow. If you see yourself as someone who quits, your behavior will reflect that identity no matter what promises you make. The trained mind works tirelessly to reinforce an identity of resilience, persistence, and victory. Every choice becomes a reinforcement of this identity until the idea of quitting feels completely foreign. At this point, success is no longer about motivation. It is about living in alignment with who you are. And when who you are is a finisher, the finish line is inevitable. Finally, the principle that unites them all: you become what you think about most of the time. This truth is as certain as gravity. If your dominant thoughts are of failure, limitation, and defeat, your life will mirror them. If your dominant thoughts are of victory, progress, and growth, your life will reflect that instead. The trained mind guards its dominant thoughts with vigilance, knowing that they are the seeds from which the harvest will grow. This is why your final affirmation in this series is the simplest and most powerful of all. I think victory, I live victory, I become victory. Say it with conviction, write it where you can see it, and let it be the law you live by from this day forward. If you have made it this far, it is because a part of you is already ready for this new path. A part of you has already understood that being celebrated means nothing if it requires abandoning yourself. True self-respect begins the moment you choose yourself, even if it costs you comfort, approval, or the agreement of the crowd. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to be underestimated, tested, even doubted in the name of your inner strength? Are you willing to pay the price of being the one who keeps going when others quit? If this message has anchored something in you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I do not quit. Let's see how many here are truly ready for this kind of life. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine. See you there.